Morning, Sunny Hill Church. It's Harry here again, and just bringing you today's Take 5, which is based around Genesis 15. And wow, what a read! It definitely made me reflect again more stories to bring you actually from the desert today. So I kind of read through that, and I was like, the first thing that came to my mind in the first sort of 6 verses was actually that one of the nights that we were out in the desert, we decided to just, instead of sleep in the tents, we dragged our sleeping bags outside, and just, yeah, we were able to just lay out and sleep under the stars. And for any of you that have experienced anything like that before, you'll know, how amazing it is and how much awe and wonder that provides. There's no city lights, no other light pollution going on, just an ocean of stars, just brilliant and countless beyond any number. And I just found that so breathtaking. It was from horizon to horizon, just this carpet of night sky, just so humbling. And it makes me think about, what God was speaking to Abraham at the time. He said to him, didn't he? He said, where is it, verse 5, where he says, he took him outside and he said, look up at the sky and count the stars, if indeed you can count them. And then he said to him, so shall your offspring be. Abraham believed the Lord, and he credited it to him as righteousness. Abraham had already been following God's call, hadn't he, like we saw yesterday, and he had left everything familiar, everything that he had already known. He endured hardship, and still no sign of what he thought was his promise, right? Years had passed, and that waiting that he was in was really starting to feel heavy. We kind of get that sense over those last few chapters that we've gone through. And I'm sure that most of us can relate to that, right? Just being able to feel that sometimes God's timings are delayed, in our terms, when your prayers seem to just go unanswered, and when you've done, or what you feel like you've done, everything right, but yet sometimes nothing changes. And in the desert, as we were walking, it certainly felt like there were moments like that for us too. The heat was pretty much endless, and the dunes sometimes just seemed to stretch on forever. There were times when I wondered, oh my goodness, am I even kind of making progress? One place we were walking for like 5 or 6 hours through a place called Death Valley, and we were just walking in a straight line. And lunch was supposed to be 10 minutes away, so our guide had said, but 5 hours we were walking that. You know, but then every now and then I'd lift my eyes and actually I'd be thinking, oh, we have been making progress. We are getting somewhere. And that's kind of what God was inviting Abraham to do. He said, look up at the sky. It's as if he's saying, Abraham, just lift your eyes from what you can't see to who I am. And faith isn't about pretending it's easy, because it's not. It's choosing to trust even when you're tired, even when, for me, like the landscape hasn't changed yet, but that can be metaphorical too, right? Even when you're feeling like the landscape hasn't changed, it's believing that God keeps his word, isn't it? That's faith. Even if you're still standing in the middle of a desert or wilderness place. So this week, or today even, one of the things that I would like you to take out for the rest of the day, is just this active thing where you can go out and, if you're feeling weary or feeling like I'm not sure what God's doing right now, I kind of still feel like I'm in this desert. It's just a simple act of just looking up. And that simple act of looking up might help you to remember God's promises. God wrote his promises in the stars, and we can, by looking up, we can ask him to renew our faith in us, to believe that even when the promise hasn't arrived yet. And so I'd encourage you to do that. And I pray that you have a blessed day today, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow.